My next guest wrote a column for CNN.com on this case. He says Asian Americans should be angry about the allegations against Harvard. His name, Shanlon. He is a CNN legal analyst, defense attorney, former federal prosecutor. He joins me now from Washington. Shan, good to see you. Thank you for returning here to the program. First, could you lay out some of the allegations made in this lawsuit against Harvard?
Yeah, the allegations that have been brought forth, importantly, at this point, do not include a request that Harvard cease using any type of race consciousness in what it calls its holistic admissions program. The allegations are that the way Harvard implements its program for admissions discriminates against Asians. The most notable area is there's a category called personal, and that's made up of different characteristics of people. And the statistics that have come out indicate that Asian applicants, as compared to white applicants, are scored lower for characteristics such as likability, courage, maturity, even the word effervescence. And so that is very deeply troubling. Harvard claims that that is not true. They claim that their own internal study that was done a couple of years ago that warned of some of these concerns was simply preliminary. So Harvard's defending itself, saying that they do not discriminate against Asian American applicants. And more importantly, Harvard is basically spinning this as a frontal attack on affirmative action, on race consciousness, and saying that if they were to lose this case, that it could have the repercussions that would eliminate the use of race altogether. Now, there's some legitimacy to that concern because, particularly with the makeup of the newly majority conservative Supreme Court, that certainly the Trump administration has been looking for a way to attack that. But in this case, at this moment, that's not on the table because the judge already eliminated that request, granting an early judgment to Harvard saying that's not on the table. So really what we're looking at right now is, has Harvard actually discriminated against Asian American applicants with the use of these types of scores?
Got it. There's one side who says this is a discrimination case. There's another side that affirmative action policies, race-based policies, that is up for discussion here. Now, if the plaintiffs win in this trial and race is no longer used as a factor in the admissions process, in practical terms, what would change? How would the student body change at Harvard? What would it look like?
So if that were to happen, and again, I would point out that it doesn't seem possible that the direct result of this case could be that ruling because that's not on the table. But either way, it's probably going to get appealed. And if it gets appealed, it may get broader. The way that could potentially look, I mean, the great fears of people who want a more holistic look, affirmative action advocates, is that you'd be looking at things just on the numbers, that you'd only look at test scores, for example. It would be a so-called racially blind policy. And that would be very problematic. I mean, nearly all of the other Ivy League institutions have weighed in saying that they very much support Harvard. They want race to be a factor. And personally, I think race should be a factor. I mean, it's part of who people are. The race is not the issue here. As I say, it's the racism that is the issue, because the way that they are scoring Asian American candidates, if proven true, is very troubling. I mean, those are code words for the kind of prejudice that Asians around the world, Asian Americans, have faced in the past. This idea that we're not likable, that essentially we are boring people. I think there was some testimony, it's a quote from an admissions officer who talked about Asian American candidates saying, wants to be a doctor, what's new? I mean, those are all very harmful stereotypes, and they don't allow Asian Americans to be looked at holistically as human beings. It's just the opposite of what Harvard says they want to do.
Yeah, in this trial, this could be the start of an appeal process. It could be a dress rehearsal for the Supreme Court, a huge watershed moment for not just talking about admissions in America, affirmative action, but for Asian Americans and fighting against anti-Asian American bias. You know, I know that was the point of your piece on CNN.com. Shanlon, unfortunately, we're going to have to leave it there. But thank you, as always, for joining us. Take care.
Good.